All right, parents of teen drivers. Today we're going to be talking about a serious subject. We're going to be talking about concussions and what to look for in your kid whenever they come home and they say they've been in an accident and you're not sure if there's been a concussion. So I had a case one time where a teen was riding with one of their friends and the teen was following a little bit too close, the driver was, and they just rear-ended the person in front of them. And the teen who we ended up representing was buckled in, but still their face went boom and hit the dashboard. And so whenever they got home to their parents, they checked out okay at the police, whenever the police came out and did the police report, but whenever they got home to their parents, they had some blurred vision and some headaches and some various other things. And so the parent went out and got the teen checked out and they went through concussion protocol, and it turns out the teen did have a concussion. So that's a very important thing to look for, and you always want to be careful of it because it's not always an outward injury like a broken arm or somewhere where there's a laceration or a cut. So the things we want to be looking for are fairly obvious, but we need to state those as well. You want to be looking for headaches. And like prolonged headaches, maybe even days after the accident happened. You want to be checking for that. You want to look for blurred vision or even double vision. If the teen is having issues seeing things and it's abnormal, you want to potentially get them checked out for that. You want to get them checked out if they're having dizziness. Or even issues of standing up or whatever too fast and they're getting dizzy and having issues with that. That's definitely a problem. This one may be a little bit harder to spot because it's a teenager, but confusion. You want to make sure, like if they're normally sharp and witty and all of a sudden they're not acting their normal self or they seem a little bit more confused, that might be signs of a concussion. You also want to look for slurred speech. So if they come home and they're not acting themselves and they may not, they're not under any other kind of influence, they bump their head and their brain sloshes around, and I mean, it's brain damage. You're getting a bruise on the brain itself whenever a concussion happens. And so that slurred speech can be a sign of that as well. And then finally, a big tell is nausea and vomiting. So if they're coming home and they're feeling sick, and they were in an accident and they don't have any other outward injuries or whatever, then you may want to be concerned if there might be a concussion if there is some nausea or vomiting involved. And so, like I said, with the teen that we had with the case, it ended up being something that worked out, fine. They checked out, they went to a couple of doctors, they made sure they did everything fine, and the teen ended up having a full recovery and everything was okay. We got them the compensation that they deserved for having to deal with all of that, and the parent was very grateful. And it was one of the more gratifying cases that I've had because the teen ended up being totally okay, but at the same time, there was issues with them, and they needed to be compensated for having to deal with that situation that was not their fault. So again, today we were talking about teens and concussions, and if anybody ever has any comments or thoughts about how to deal with teens and concussions, please leave a comment below or reach out to us. And again, Seth Smiley from the Smiley Law Firm with another edition of Parents of Teen Drivers Facebook group. Thank you.